And come on. Okay, we're streaming now. We should come across to the rebroadcaster. Oh, I get excited about this shit. I don't know about you. I get all fired up. Doesn't look. Oh, I love them. Oh, look at that. We are live. And why? No, I want to open this up. No, open that up this way. There we go. Yes. Let's see if we got any comments, people joining in. People are firing up, and let's get this party started. And we are back. Here I am, Fly Navarro with the No BS World Tour, coming at you live, going springtime edition. Everybody getting ready for all their big time tournaments for the summertime. So today we are joined by Gabe Goodman. Gabe, how are you today, sir?
I'm well. Thanks for having me.
Man, no worries. Gabe, could you let everybody know where you are located at the present time?
Yes, sir. Port Aransas, Texas.
Port Aransas, Texas. I love it. Tell me a little, what I want to know a little bit. There's the new marina that just opened up where the old Wharf Cat used to be. Tell me a little bit about that new marina there in Port Aransas.
Yeah, so Port A, it's been, we've been around forever, and we just actually, Virginia's marina is the property that we own and host our new tournament, and next door was the old Fisherman's Wharf. Fisherman's Wharf's been around since the 30s and 40s and was a hot spot for everybody weighing fishing over the years. And Hurricane Harvey a couple of years ago took out most of our marina, and so it's been recently rebuilt, and it's all, it's to the nines now, and it's a great facility, real first class for our area. So we're really excited about it.
Man, that's pretty awesome. So tell everybody a little bit about your tournament that you guys have coming up. It is called the Pachanga, I believe.
Yes, sir. Yeah, the Billfish Pachanga. So in Spanish, we're in South Texas right here. We've been a couple hours from the border, and so that's real close to our heart. And Pachanga is it's a party. It's a good time. So we wanted to make a tournament that was family friendly and really appeal to everybody and just really have a good time and do a all release format. So we're excited.
So tell us a little bit about what brought this tournament. What made you guys decide to start this tournament and a little bit of history behind it?
Sure. I'm by no means a tournament director. I'm a participant. I just like to fish, and we travel around, fish a lot of tournaments, and of course all of our local tournaments. But there was a tournament here nearby that the Poco Bueno was around for 49 years until 3 years ago. And they finally decided to close their doors on what would have been their 50th year. And Poco was the biggest tournament in our neighborhood. And it was an invite tournament. And they send invites out the 1st of April. And within a few days, they were typically pretty filled up. So that tournament was a little different format. It was a kill tournament. But still extremely popular around here. And we all got letters that stating that, hey, the tournament's canceled, no longer. And we happen to own a restaurant and marina right there on the water. And so a bunch of buddies started texting us and said, hey, man, we should put together a tournament. It'd be fun. We didn't know what kind of work that would turn into. But so we got the cool thing is we got to build a tournament that we wanted to fish and put the rules that we thought we as fishermen that we'd want to do. And so we did this, all release tournament and added a lot of, we took a lot of some of our favorite aspects of other tournaments, like the Los Sueños Triple Crown. It's one of our favorite tournaments to go to. And so we pulled some of that information. We just basically kind of just put it all together and made something fun that we could all enjoy. And we're also, not for profit. So we donate the rest of the money to charity and good causes. So it's fun.
What are some of the charities and causes you guys are donating to?
So we're a big advocate of the Billfish Foundation, of course, and working with those guys. They've been terrific and really supporting us. Super grateful for their help. Also, the Heart Research Institute, which is based out of Texas A&M University, Corpus Christi, and so they have a center there. It's a Center for Sportfish Science, and they are directly involved with satellite tracking and tagging pelagic species like mako sharks, blue marlin, white marlin, sailfish, swordfish. And they've been instrumental in helping us get off the ground as well. And so we've been donating to them. And then also our third charity is the Port Aransas Education Fund. So it's a nonprofit, basically does college scholarships for deserving kids locally in the community. And so we basically sponsored 2 kids each year in full, not full, but partial college scholarships. So the first year, this will be our third year. And I think our donations last year was 5 times that of which the first year was. So we're hoping to continue on that trend and keep being able to donate more money to these noble charities.
Man, that's pretty awesome. And I see Justin Williams commenting right now, TBF, the Billfish Foundation. I know I had Peter on last week, and Peter was very instrumental in getting us together on this podcast today. We booted him off because we wanted some alone time to talk. But he is listening because I see him jumping in. And we've got people, just so you know, we got people chiming in from all over the place. I see Mark Reeves all the way from Africa. I believe he's from Mozambique. We have Barefoot Sierra from Sierra Leone, and we got Ty all the way from Hawaii. So we're spanning the globe here,
Awesome.
talking about your tournament. So with that being said, now how many years is this? Your first year of the Pachanga, or is this the third year?
This will be our third year.
This will be your third year.
Yeah.
And you said that you've already given back to all these great charities. How did you pick the foundations and the charities that you decided to give back to?
We wanted to give back to people that were, obviously, of course, we wanted to pick a charity close to home, support the kids, do some college scholarships. That's a real big charity in our area. There's a lot of, it's becoming a really popular, really high net worth area, but it didn't start that way. It started off as a little fishing village, Port Aransas, and so there's a lot of people that are born and raised there that are struggling with some of the challenges of becoming a really expensive, high property tax value area. So not everybody's so fortunate to have superfluous funds to be able to go to college and do their stuff. So we wanted to make sure and do our part to give back, but also help those that help us kind of raise awareness for conservation. So the Hart Institute is instrumental in that, and of course the Billfish Foundation are, in our opinion, 2 of the leading causes for billfish science and billfish conservation. That's our goal with this tournament.
Listen, I personally, and I'm a big proponent of the Billfish Foundation. Peter, not so much. I only say that because he's not here. I love Peter. He's a good people. Both him, Ellen, and the whole foundation, they do a lot for our sport, not just for the billfishing aspect of it, but the entirety of the sport. They're a very big proponent of managing the resource properly and making sure we get a chance to go out there and use it to the best of our abilities. So now, how about yourself, Gabe? Tell us a little bit about your history in fishing. How long have you been fishing, and when did you start fishing offshore for billfish?
Sure. I was fortunate enough to grow up in a family that loved to fish. My grandfather was a big fisherman in Port Aransas, and he always had boats when I was a kid. And unfortunately, I fished with him growing up. He passed when I was 12, so I was then able to continue the legacy of fishing with him. But my uncle also always had boats growing up, and so we spent, every minute we had in the summertime either fishing off the beach or fishing offshore. So, we did it as long as I can remember. Honestly, I never got into bay fishing, even though we're surrounded by bays here. All I wanted to do was be offshore. And luckily, my parents were great. They would always take us around traveling and fishing, and so we got to do it until I could afford to do it on my own, and take my kids and go with our family and do a lot of fun stuff as well. So I don't know. I guess I probably caught my first billfish when I was 7 or 8, down in Mexico, and then just couldn't stop from there. It's just been an obsession, as I'm sure most people.
It's addictive, man. I'll tell you what, it's very, very addictive. I know, listen, anybody that knows me knows I've spent not just most of my career, most of my life chasing after billfish. So how old were you when you caught your first billfish, and what was it?
I think 6 or 7 down in Puerto Aventuras down in Mexico. For us, it's a short little jaunt. So we go we'd go to Aventuras all the time, catch sailfish and white marlin in the springtime, and it's a great spot to be.
My first trip to Mexico was in PA as well. It's changed a lot over the years since I first went down there. We're talking about almost 30 years ago, but it was kind of neat with people popping up their tents and hanging out. And really, the fishing, for anybody who hasn't been there, the fishing is literally 100 yards out of the inlet. My first white marlin I was ever a part of. The only reason we caught it was because I was an idiot and I forgot to reel in the center rigger. We were almost inside the cut when we heard it pop out, and next thing you know, there was a white marlin. So we were almost inside the cut and got the bite on the center rigger. So we had to back out of the cut and go get it, but it did. We were able to capture a white marlin.
That place is amazing. If you can make it out the pass, you can go fishing. I think it's the first time I've ever taken a wave over the hardtop of a 31 Bertram was a PA trying to get out with the late great Captain Rick Ogle
on the Mr. Sportsman, I believe, right?
Yeah. Man,
Mr. Sportsman was a 31 Bertram.
Yeah, I grew up fishing with him down there, and man, it was an experience for sure. It's a shame. He was a heck of a fisherman.
He was incredible. When it comes to fishing, he was a very fishy dude. Captain Rick, he caught a lot of fish, and anytime he was out there, he had a chance, always had a chance at winning because he was that good of a fisherman.
Yeah, he had a lot of patience with us kids up there, asking him about 5,000 questions a day. I'm sure he cursed us when we got off the boat each time, but he didn't wait on to when we were there.
He probably cursed at you while you were on the boat. Yeah. Knowing Rick, what the F is your problem? Get downstairs and reel in that fish.
Yeah, well, at least you learned to do it right, though. There's not much room for error with him.
No, listen, I'll tell you what, Captain Rick was a great fisherman. I fished next to him quite a few times, and down in St. Thomas and Venezuela, and you were never surprised when he'd let you know he had one on or had 4 of them on.
Yeah,
he was good at that. He was good at that, and he's also another one from Texas. Texas has put out a lot of really good fishermen over the years.
You got to scratch it out down here. It's tough.
I'll tell you what, you guys do. It is tough. You guys have a long run to get offshore. I believe from Port Aransas, it's like about $1.45 one way, just for the closest drop off.
Yeah, we get to the floating rigs are about 130 miles out on to about 200, but our shelf drops off at about really 60 miles when we start inshore dredge fishing. But I guess we have a gradual decline out to about 100 fathoms, and then it kind of really drops off. But the 100 fathom curve is about 55 miles out. But that's one thing we did for this tournament was that, a lot of these, with a lot of the sonars coming into play with the Furuno, OmniScan, and everything else, that, a lot of these tournaments here, it seems to be the faster, bigger boats that can run 200-300 miles to the floating rigs off Louisiana and target blue marlin with the sonars. And so part of our tournament we wanted to do is, hey, let's make it a little more, let's kind of level the playing field a little bit and put it kind of mano a mano. We basically wanted to we put a 70-mile cap limit on how far you can go from Port Aransas. 70
miles, so you can't even get to the rigs.
And I'm sorry, I put 100 miles. I apologize. 100-mile limit, but you can't get to the rigs, but you can get out to the rocks. Yeah, so everyone's got to duke it out inside and kept the floating rigs out of the question.
Wow, that's an interesting way of looking at it, especially considering, like you said, not a lot of boats, and you use the word sonar boats that have sonars on them, but also boats that have different kind of ranges, or
Sure.
speed. So that's a big deal, especially out of Texas. I know some of the other tournaments like the Houston Big Game Club,
Sure.
Texas Shootout. Yeah, the Shootout, and what's John Cochran's tournament?
Texas Legends.
The Texas Legends, exactly.
Yes,
so
sir.
I like those parameters. You're kind of keeping everybody in the same area, and doesn't matter if you have the sonar, doesn't matter if you have the speed. you got to fish in the same general area.
Yes, sir. We'll have a 31 Bertram fishing, and then we'll have a 72 Spencer, or an 82 Viking. So I mean, we really kind of wanted to open up the playing field to everybody, and that way people don't just feel excluded. I mean, if you guys, I grew up fishing a variety of boats. I mean, one of my best friends, we've spent years on his 39 venture and had some tremendous, luck on that boat. And it's hard to run. You can't run 200 miles one way on a 39 venture unless you're taking a bunch of cans, and it makes it challenging. So we want to there's a lot of great fishermen out there. Give everybody a chance to duke it out.
So on average, as far as participants, what is your size of your tournament? On average, how many boats do you guys normally get?
So we limited the tournament to 40 boats. The first 40 boats that enter. We did it for two reasons. One, we didn't know what the heck we were doing. We were just starting a tournament, so we didn't want to be totally overwhelmed. So we put a cap on it, and then we also decided, let's make it a little bit more enticing to people to want to get in, enjoy the tournament, make it manageable, and not just be a cash grab kind of a deal. So we have a 40 boat max. The first year we started it, we had 19 boats, but we started it 2 months before the tournament. It was kind of a last minute deal, threw it together. And last year, our second year, we had 39 boats. So we're anticipating, hopefully, God willing, be able to fill it up this year.
So I'm going to ask you this question because you had it in you mentioned it, and somebody's commenting on it right now. You limited the distance, and you said because of the scanning the boats with sonars. What is your guys, and you can say you don't have a position, and that's a good enough answer for me. But what is your guys' position on boats with sonars?
I could go both ways. I don't have a sonar on my boat. It almost feels, I can see both ways. It's a tremendous tool, and it's been proven to work. I'd like to fish on a boat that had one to be able to check it out. I know it works. Some of these guys that, it works for the guys that know how to use the tool well. And I don't think it makes a bad fisherman an extraordinary fisherman with it, but I think it just makes a really good fisherman even better. I'd love to check one out. Like I said, I've never fished on one that had a sonar, but I definitely would like to see it in action. There's some guys around here. There's some guys in Houston. The captain of the Dragon Up, it's a big Viking out of
Captain
Houston.
Kevin Dearman.
Oh man,
Kevin's a great fisherman.
And what a great fisherman made him even better. I mean, if that's hard to do. And guys like that, really use their tool well, and it's interesting to see him fishing. We fished the World Cup last year on our boat, and we went to one of the floating rigs. We pre-fished the day before, and there were 12 boats at Hoover Diana with us. There were 4 blue marlin caught. We caught 2. Kevin Dearman caught 2. And we don't have a sonar, and there were 4 or 5 sonar boats around. It's right time, just get lucky, So it's hard to say, but guys like Kevin find them, and they catch them up, man. They're great.
One of the my question, it's not really a question, it's just a statement where I've heard from a lot of people, because I get thrown in the middle of a lot of conversations about sonars and different things like that. And I listen to 50-50 as far as where it's a benefit and where it's a detriment. Where I heard every once in a while, especially in a tournament, where it becomes a detriment, you end up marking a fish and you end up chasing that fish for an extended amount of time, and they never bite. So you mark a fish, you go chasing after them, and you end up spending maybe 2 or 3 hours chasing after this one fish to try to get a bite, and they never bite. And then the boats around you end up just fishing, and they end up catching 2 or 3 fish. So I've seen a little bit of both,
Sure.
which is it's like one of those things, that there's something in that room right there, but you don't know if somebody's going to open that door. So how much time do you want to spend knocking on that door, and how much time do you want to just say, okay, that's enough, I'm going to go knock on another door? So and listen, I'm not going to be the one to make that decision, at least not over a conversation here. That's something that needs to be discussed on the boat while it's happening. But I've seen it happen in both realms, where it's helped people win a tournament, and I've seen it where it's cost people tournaments.
Sure, I could buy that. I mean, for us, I feel like it's a little less effective. You know, we have 4 floating rigs that are within 160 nautical miles of Port Aransas. So, I mean, if you run to Perdido, which is 160 miles to our southeast, you get there and you run your sonar, you run make a couple laps from the rig, don't see a blue marlin. What do? You're gonna pick up and run 60 miles to the north and try again, or whereas guys in Louisiana, you run out there, there's 30 rigs at your disposal. I mean, I have some buddies of mine. We're fishing out of Venice in a tournament and been parked at a rig all day long live baiting. And here comes Done Deal. Late in the day, Done Deal runs up, drops a sonar, makes 2 laps, picks up and hauls ass. And the guys go, I guess there's no blue marlin here. They've been wasting the whole day sitting around, and Done Deal makes 2 laps and leaves. And so you never know.
But it could be one of those things. There was a fish there all morning and he left. Yeah. Or there's one showing up 10 minutes after that sonar. So again, it's still called fishing.
Yeah, I'm with you. I agree.
It's still called fishing. So it doesn't. Now, what is nice is for me, if you don't know, should I make a left or should I make a right? And it is nice that it helps you. I'm being made fun of online, blah, 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 blah. Come on, Fly. It's still fishing. It's not going to guarantee you a bite. And here's every place is different, but what I've come to find out a lot of times, not a lot of times, but it does happen on occasion where somebody ends up following a fish and ends up being a manna or being a shark. Sure. And you're expecting one thing. Now there's some guys, and you've mentioned a couple of these names, boat names of people that really know how to use them. And I'm not, by no means am I saying I'm proficient at them. But I had on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, Tommy Francis from Tahiti. He runs the Ultimate Lady, and he knows he has a way of being able to depict a black marlin from a blue marlin on the sonar. The black marlin has a bigger swim bladder, and on the mark, it comes out as a little pinker than a blue marlin, and he could pick that out so he can plan accordingly. And again, if you know how to use it, and you're probably way better than me and 95% of everybody. But again, yeah, it's just one of those things. You can't guarantee making a fish bite.
Yeah, I agree. I've got a buddy, Captain Troy Day, runs a D-carb out of Houston. He is a friend, but man, he's a tremendous captain. And he fished. He was second to Kevin Dearman last year in the Houston Big Game overall year tournament. And I talked to him the other day about it. He doesn't have a sonar. I talked to him about it and asked his opinion. He goes, "Man, I just do what I've known to do my whole life and fish where I think the fish are going to be." And we got lucky and we caught a bunch of fish, and he caught a pile of fish. And Kevin narrowly beat him out at the end of the year, but he led the whole year, and they're just fishing, so
again, it's just one of those things. Does it help? Again, it's just an extra piece of equipment. I know I've seen guys in St. Thomas years ago where they mark bait schools. They don't mark the fish, they'll mark the bait schools, and they'll sit with the bait. They'll sit there for hours, chasing the bait around, and they might go 4 or 5 hours without seeing a bite. And then suddenly, boom, you get 3 fish. So was it they were in the right spot? Was it that the fish came up on the bait? Again, for me, this is a great conversation, a great debate, because it's something that's happening on the docks every day. And it's a conversation that people have on a very daily basis, up and down the rip. So, yeah, it also depends on which boat you're on. If you're on a boat with a sonar, then of course I want to use it. And if you're on one without one, no, but I'm sure depth finders at some point, they had issues about that. Man, we almost had a giant catastrophe here in the home of the No BS podcast. My dog just walked underneath the desk, and I saw her literally get tangled up in one of the cables, and it went across her back. I'm like, oh my God, that's camera, that's computer, that's everything going down. She was just making sure Dad is happy here, working hard, trying to keep her in the lifestyle that she's accustomed to. So, uh, did I lose you? No, you're still there. I just want to make sure I
I'm
didn't.
here. We're good.
So now is the Pachanga the only tournament that you guys put on, or do you have some other ones throughout the year?
That's the only tournament we put on. It's our bread and butter, and we're trying to make it bigger and better each year. Trying to get more exposure. Just keep like I said, the last couple of years, all the proceeds we donate to charity and to our good causes, and so we're trying to get some exposure out there, get the pots going, and we do obviously cash pots like most of our tournaments. We do a bunch of silent auctions and auctions in their tournament, and all that money. All the money gets aggregated and given away. So that's our goal, really, is to have a big fun tournament and raise some money, give the money away, and do some good. Catch some fish.
Have you had Peter from the Billfish Foundation show up yet?
Not showed up yet. Maybe this year.
Peter, get off your tail. Go visit. Do some networking, brother. Come on.
I think he wanted to make sure it worked out first.
That's no fun. You want to jump on a bandwagon before it's all the cool kids are doing it. At least that's the way I look at it. I want to jump on the bandwagon when it's still brand new.
So luckily the tournament it's been a big success so far, and we've had, fortunately, a lot of good followings locally. And the biggest request we've had is, hey, well, why don't you have another one? Let's have one in June and have one in August and make kind of a triple crown. And it's a great idea. If anybody else wants to handle that for me, that'd be terrific, because it's a handful. I'll definitely fit it.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, but
putting on tournaments is a lot of work. People don't understand. It's not just one day, go do it, or 3 days. There's a lot of planning. There's a lot of stuff you gotta do with it.
I agree. We thought about having an extra leg, and May and June is really good blue marlin fishing at our deep rigs. I mean, you can have days where you get 3, 4, 5 bites a day, sometimes better. And so we thought about having a tournament and an extra leg in June, maybe the following year, and open up the deep rigs and let everybody go out there and try and aggregate a bunch of blue marlin. So there's some stuff in the works, but this year we're going to stick with Old Faithful and try and produce a good, fun tournament for everybody.
What's it going to take to push you guys over the edge to make that June tournament?
I think if we fill up this year and the tournament's another success, we'll probably put it together for next year. We want to make sure with COVID going on and everything that's been happening the last couple of years, we want to get a stable base under us, get a good following, show that we can actually produce a good quality tournament and have some good quality sponsors. We've got a lot of great people. We've got Yeti's been supporting us, and now Costa Del Mar, and Firetails dredges. We're trying to, with Billfish Foundation, Marlin Magazine, the Buy Magazine, we're trying to get a good aggregation of good people that want to support us and help us out, and we want to give back to them too. And nothing's for free. We're not trying to get a free ride. We want to give back to everybody.
There is no free ride.
No.
Mr. Haynes Hoffman has asked, what are the dates of your event?
July 14th through 17th.
Put that on your calendar there, Haynes.
We leave at noon on Thursday and back at the dock by Saturday at 3:00.
Who did I have on last week? We were talking about that. Your guys' Gulf Coast tournaments are amazing because it is a lot of work. You're not talking about leaving the dock at 6 a.m., back at the dock by 5. You guys leave and you guys are out for 3 days. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that can happen in 3 days. You come back, especially in today's world. Next thing, within 3 days, you could leave, everything's fine. You come back, there's a world pandemic going.
It's a beating.
You go out fishing again, you come back, now they got a vaccine and a cure. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. Being out to sea for 3 days, there's all kinds of shit that can happen.
Yep, that's true. Part of the tournament we put together is we request for everyone to send in text messages through the inReach satellite or call in, and so we try and keep it an updated leaderboard throughout the tournament, so it keeps everybody in the loop. We also do Saturday midday. We also do the piggy perch pachanga. We've got a bunch of pinfish and everything around the docks, and so we put on a free kids fishing tournament, trophies, lunch, snow cones for all the kids and the families that want to come down and participate. So it's a 2-hour deal. Biggest piggy perch, most piggy perch. They get trophies and free lunch.
Okay, so this is where you got my attention because I'm really big in supporting the new generation into our sport. I'm really big. So tell us a little bit more about this kids fishing tournament.
So we call it the Piggy Perch Pachanga. And so it's on Saturday before weigh-ins. We have it at about 11 a.m. And so anyone that's involved in the tournament, friends, family, whomever, bring the kids, bring the wife, whoever wants to come. My brother and one of my best friends will runs the Piggy Perch Pachanga. They freaking love it. They got sombreros for the kids. They do a 1-hour fishing. They measure them, weigh them, release. It's all release. We provide extra rods, bait. And then also when they're done, we have lunch and snow cones for the kids free of charge. So it's just trying to get out there.
You had me at snow cones. You had me at snow cones. Peter Chabanzai from the Billfish Foundation says, let him know and he'll bring some stuff for the kids, magazine stickers and the such.
Awesome. Thank you. Very generous.
And Mr. Hoffman, I will put you in touch with Gabe and then you guys can figure out whatever you guys want to do. Peter's talking to Haynes. So there's like 3 conversations that I know of going on right now. You and I, we think we're the primary ones. We're not even the primary ones. Everybody else is talking shit, and I'm notorious for being the one to talk shit. So, but going back to the kids, I'm a very big proponent because if we're not the ones teaching the next generation, and this is the scary part. This is the part that scares me. I'm starting to become part of the other next generation. So it's like 2 generations past, lifting them up. I was watching a movie the other day and it's like, hey, I know that guy. And I'm like, wait a second, he's playing the grandfather. That's what? Wait a second. We got all kinds of stuff going on here. Jeffrey Wilson from the Tighten Up has joined us. And he just gave me the poop emoji. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because that's what I talk. I talk a lot of BS. Well, this is the No BS World Tour.
Jeff's a great captain, man. Heck of a captain.
Oh, Jeff is great. And for those of you joining us late, I got James Turner from Ringer Swivel joining us. We got Gabe Goodman, and he's talking about the Pachanga tournament down in Port Aransas, Texas. So,
James also sent us a whole bunch of gear last couple of years too. So we really appreciate Ringer Swivels, man. Those guys are awesome.
I'll tell you what, we had James on the podcast a couple of weeks ago. And it was, I'm a big proponent for a lot of things, but one thing I'm a big fan of is getting an idea and building it into something. And that's something that James has done. He took an idea, he's built it into a company. He's turned it into a side hustle, and it definitely is blossoming into something that could be more than just a side hustle. So big shout out to him.
Top notch. Yeah,
and he said, give him a call. He'll do something for the tournament this year.
Awesome. Thanks again.
James, why don't you come out of retirement and go fishing out of Texas? Oh, look at that. We just had somebody sign up for the World Cup. Woohoo!
All right.
So, and listen, last year we had a record for number of boats. Speaking of the World Cup, we set a record with number of boats in the Gulf of Mexico for the World Cup. When I first started running the World Cup, a good year out of the Gulf of Mexico was 2 boats.
Wow.
Actually, 1 boat was Goodyear. And 2 years before I took over the World Cup, I started the Golf Cup. And last year we had 32 boats in the World Cup out of the Gulf of Mexico, which shattered the record.
That's awesome. Well, our tournaments are dictated by weather down here. It's so weather dependent with the wind swell. I mean, it's either brutal or it's nice. And you guys, we had a great weekend last year for the World Cup, and we fished it on our boat, and all of our buddies did. And there were a lot of boats. It was busy.
Listen, if the weather's good, why do you want to sit on land? Just go out, enjoy the fireworks offshore. Enjoy the fireworks off the shore. That's the way I see it. If the weather's nice, take your family out there. I had Mr. Johnny Dorland a couple weeks ago of the OBBC, and he ended up sending me some pictures of his grandbabies on the boat out at the rigs, just 2 years old, walking around. So
That's awesome.
it's way awesome. It's listen, again, it goes back to showing the next generation what we do and opening those doors up for them. So it's a really, really big issue, or a big deal for me, because they're always talking. I had this conversation with a friend of mine up in Montana this morning. I was not in Montana. He's up in Montana. We were talking about hunting and where some of this stuff is going. And if we don't take the time to introduce outdoor sports, fishing and hunting and whatever it is that we love to do, if we don't take the time to share it, it's going to be lost. So it doesn't take that much effort on our part to open up our boats, open up our docks, loan somebody a fishing rod, say, here, fish off the dock and catch some fish. So to me, it's a very big deal to take the extra time, and I applaud you, sir, for doing that, because these kids want to be a part of it. They want to be a part of it.
Well, it's part of that's part of the fabric of South Texas. I mean, South Texas is really hunting and fishing, and that's so much of what we've done growing up and what we're teaching our kids. I have a 3-year-old daughter, and I can't keep her off. All she wants to do is go fishing, go to the ranch and look at deer and moo-moos, and that's about it. So it's like, she doesn't care about an iPad. She doesn't care about a show. She wants to go to the ranch, or she wants to go fishing. So that's what I was doing yesterday. She was wearing the perch out at the dock and then running around the boat looking at dolphin, so it's hard to beat.
She's got my story down to a science. I want to go to the ranch. I want to go fishing. That's it. That's all I want to do. And I'm a grown ass adult.
I'm easy.
But be careful. That's how rumors get started. Telling everybody you're easy. Now I'm watching my dog stuck in between some chairs. Let's see if she can figure her way out. And come on, back up. I don't want to have to. So last week I have all this camera equipment. Oh, she got out. I have all my camera equipment out, and she walks up underneath the table, and somehow she literally got tripod, table, chair, and light all tangled up in one leg. And I'm like, how in the hell did you do that? So poor little girl. So she got out. I don't know what she's doing. I think it's starting to become summertime weather pattern here. So now your guys' fishing season is just getting ready to start here in May. And I believe, was it last week or was it 2 weeks ago, you guys broke yet another state record on bluefin tuna?
Yes, sir. Yeah, so that's really, that fishery's kind of become a new novel thing for everybody. Typically, 10, 20 years ago and earlier, people wouldn't even get the boats going until end of May, start running out. June, July, August, typically our season. And we've been fishing earlier and staying fishing later than in the last few years. And it seems that it's really been, making a big difference. April and May, I mean, you've got a legitimate shot at catching a giant bluefin in April or May at the floating rigs. And we were in one platform on our boat fishing the same weekend, and Justin Drummond ran to a different platform, and they caught that 870 some odd bluefin after, I think, 9 hours, and broke the record. But I mean, they're out there, and it's, you're targeting blue marlin or bluefin. Everyone, we're out there live baiting, but that fishery's really come around, and it's made it a lot more exciting for people to get out and late springtime and go fishing. So it's really extended our year.
I know this past weekend in Robbie Carter's tournament out of Grand Isle. Yeah, Grand Isle. They weighed 4 of them. And I'm waiting for any minute to get the email saying that they closed the fishery. And I think it's just a matter of minutes. It's not hours or days. And me being on the HMS advisory panel, I get the emails as soon as they close the fishery. So I'm expecting that anytime today. Hey, tonight at midnight, fishery is now closed.
Well, and the thing is, it's been extremely rough and windy spring for us. So there really haven't been any windows. I mean, the window that when Justin caught that fish, we were out. I mean, it was 3 to 5, 4 to 6. I mean, it was blowing 25 knots. It was not good conditions. So, people are trying to make the best of it and get out there. I think if we had better windows this year, you would have seen quite a few more caught from other boats.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with the fact of how far you guys got to run.
Certainly.
That's,
yeah, he was running 165 miles,
That's a long way to go when it's rough.
Yep. Straight into him.
Hold on one second. Yeah. What's that?
We're fishing between 5,000 and 8,000 feet of water too. So that's pretty good.
You know what? That's a long way to lift a fish up.
Yeah.
That's a long way to lift a fish up, especially when you start talking about 800 pounds. Let's see. Peter says any moment now they're going to be closing it. Jeffrey says that everybody's in agreement that yes, this is going to close the season, which is, listen, it's not like it's a very big quota. It's like a 1.4, 1.8 metric ton.
Really?
Yeah. So I would say that with all those fish, usually that's right somewhere, give or take about 8 fish. And by what I remember, I think we've already caught 7 or 8 with the 4 this weekend. So it should be well over pushing us over that quota. Now, have you had a chance?
Well, it's an awesome fishery.
No, go ahead, please.
No, so that's an awesome fishery. I've had the opportunity to fish in PEI, and PEI is an awesome. Someone's calling me. Yeah, 100 foot of water, so you really, they have nowhere to go.
No, that you're chasing them on top, which I normally do that. I normally do that Nova Scotia thing. I do it on the other side of Nova Scotia. The last year we didn't because of the closures to the border, and this year it's not looking too good. Peter brought up a very good point that TBF fought very hard for that incidental allocation for the Gulf of Mexico. That was, the Billfish Foundation was very instrumental in getting that allocation done. And what it's really done, because at least for what I've seen on my end, we've always talked about that the Gulf of Mexico was a spawning ground for the bluefin tuna. And what it's really done, even if it's only anywhere 6 to 8 fish, it's showing the world that yes, they are in here, and they are in here consistently.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know. Sometimes people want to see something. They want to see a fish, and then they finally say, yeah, you know what? You're right. It's not just a bunch of data. It's not just data driven. Here is actual incidental catches that are happening. And now with the push of social media and everybody having a cell phone, we see some unbelievable killer videos of bluefin tunas eating right there next to the boat.
Oh, it's awesome. And it's really boosted our local fishing community. I mean, there's more activity in the springtime now than there's ever been. I mean, if people are, you've always had an opportunity to catch blue marlin 12 months out of the year at the deep rigs in Texas, but not consistently and shoot. I mean, having the chance to go and chase a giant bluefin, I think it's pushed guys to leave the dock and really fish a lot harder, a lot more often than they normally do. So that's great for our local economy too.
Listen, the more people that are out fishing, the better it is for everybody. It's an overall economic package that helps everything from the boats to the people that work on them, to the marinas, to the restaurants, to the hotels and everything. And your tournament is a perfect example of what that brings to the local community.
I appreciate it. Another thing we're working on with the Hart Research Institute is they're going to be providing us with a couple of GPS satellite tags and we're actually going to raffle off 2 tags and then do a Marlin race with it eventually. So during the tournament, 2 people on the boat, on 2 teams will have the satellite tags from the Hart Institute. And after 6 months, we'll be able to post the data of where those fish actually went. And I think it'd be really cool to be able to put some feedback back on the website and show everybody, hey, okay, I caught this blue marlin in July off Texas and ended up in St. Thomas or Puerto Rico or, the Bahamas, who knows? So the more we can do to kind of get that out there, it'd be really, we're looking forward to it.
So, and Peter, I'll get to that right here in a second. So when are you planning on doing this satellite tagging for the blue marlin?
During the actual tournament.
During the tournament. Wow. And Peter's also saying that the Hart Institute is a great institution. One of the things that Peter wanted me to bring up in conversation here, which we talked about this morning, is when people do catch these incidental bluefins, to save some of the samplings for DNA samples, to give back to the Hart Institute or to some of the other scientists that are out there doing the work researching bluefin tuna.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, that'd be great.
It's a very big thing, because a lot of once, something as simple as just a small tissue sample, a little snidbit from a tail or a snidbit of tissue, can do a lot of research to know where those fish are originally from. We have an Eastern Atlantic stock. We have a Western Atlantic stock. There's always conversation of, do they intermingle? And that little snidbit of DNA is enough to give them, to provide any institute that's doing bluefin tuna work a lot of information going in the future.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So how long have you guys been working with the Hart Institute?
Since our tournament inception, first year we started the tournament, we reached out to those guys and started working with them. They provide us with graduate students to help work on the dock. So they're taking tissue samples of a lot of some of the meat fish that come in. They also do the weighing. They compile the scores. And we also have the director of the Hart Institute, Dr. Greg Stuns, is a big part of it. He's been emceeing the awards for us the last couple of years also, which is a tremendous help. And they're a great group of guys, great group of people and they actually gave us a tour of their facility recently, and it's first class. I mean, they're doing some really amazing research, and we're all the beneficiaries of all that, of their time.
That's listen, it's great to have these graduate students get the opportunity to be a part of these tournaments and see exactly what we do as fishermen and the total encompassing of the events that we have, so they understand exactly how to collect data and to understand the industry as a whole. Because sometimes, and especially now with social media, people get a chance to talk a lot more than they used to in the past. So there was a lot of fishermen felt there was a big disconnect between the science and what people are doing on the boats. And nowadays, that bridge is being, not only is it being crossed, but there's new bridges being connected constantly between the scientists and the fishermen.
Sure. No, I think it's really important too. I think that their help, and they're able to see, okay, here's the catch data. And of course, we report all the catch data to the NMFS for the tournament itself, but they're able to see firsthand, okay, what's coming in, what's the size, what are the stomach contents, how many sailfish, white marlin, blue marlin, what's really occurring in our fishery. And luckily that weekend, the weekend of our tournament last year was one of the best bites of the year. So we had over 100 billfish released with 39 boats. So I think it was 115 or 120. I forget the numbers offhand, but pretty good amount of billfish being released for 39 boats in Texas.
No, that's great fishing. Like you said, in Texas, but still, any day you go out and see a blue marlin is a great day of fishing. So we can't knock it.
Yeah, the top boat I think had 15 or 16 releases, and the second boat had 12 or 15, something like that. So I mean, it was a good bite.
Man, that's great fishing.
Yeah,
that's great fishing in any book, wherever you're fishing. I know last year the Gulf of Mexico showed some unbelievable fishing all year long.
Yeah, we had a really good spring blue marlin bite too. I mean, a couple trips, 4 or 5 blue marlin a trip. I mean, some of those guys out of Houston had some great trips too. It was a good year.
No, and I'm hoping that this year is going to be just as good, if not better. I know tournaments are starting up in. I'm looking at it right now, just under 2 weeks, where they start, where you guys kick off the summer for the Gulf of Mexico. So hopefully it'll be just as good as it was last year.
Yeah, I hope so. Typically they laugh and say that when dove season starts, usually Texas billfishing kind of tinkers off. So everyone puts the rods down and grab the shotguns and get in the field. And last year Kevin Yearman did a trip in September. I think he had 8 blues and a white, and I mean, pretty strong for a weekend in the Gulf.
And I'm like you said, I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. He's probably the only boat out there. Once people get a chance to go hunting, okay, summertime fishing is done, hunting season started. So you're absolutely correct on that one. There's not very many people offshore during hunting season.
That's what's great about Texas. You fish till September, then start dove hunting, then deer hunting through February, and February stops, and the wind blows through March, and then you start fishing for bluefin and blue marlin in April. So it's a vicious cycle.
It's a great cycle. Listen, you won't hear any complaints out of me, none whatsoever.
Unless you're one of our wives, then there's some complaints, but that's about it.
And that's why I'm not married, so I can go fishing. Actually, I can't say that. My girlfriend never complains about me fishing. It keeps me out of trouble. And God knows I can get into trouble way too easily. Usually I get into trouble just sitting here online talking. Usually I end up pissing somebody off. That I'm good at.
No, we're lucky. Our wives are really supportive, and so we get to do a lot of really fun trips fishing, and what's cool about South Texas is there's so much stuff to do. Whether you're at the ranch or you're on the boat. I mean, you can. And the same with the tournaments. We're trying to include all the families. It used to be a boys' club. A lot of the Poca Bueno, which is a great tournament forever, was kind of a boys' club, and it was frowned on to bring the families, and that was fun and all. But we really want to advocate bringing the kids out, bring the wife, bring everybody out, and have a good time, and show them what we're doing for what we love it so much. Why do we want to go fishing every day and do all this stuff? And this is what it's about, So we want to include everybody.
It totally is a family event. I mean, even if you decide you don't want to go offshore for 3 nights, it's still a family event where after you come in, you have your family waiting for you at the dock. Everybody's sitting around telling the stories. I remember as a kid watching my dad coming home with my uncle from fishing, and I just wanted to see what they caught. I'm 4 or 5 years old. My dad would go nighttime yellowtail fishing, and it was not one of those things. You don't want to have a 4-year-old on the boat at night. But when they come in, I want to see all the coolers. I want to see what they caught. I want to hear the stories. That's the big part.
I think I'm still that way.
The only difference is now I force myself onto boats, even if they don't want me there. I'm notoriously the stowaway. Hey, I'm here. Deal with me. Don't worry, I brought donuts.
Well, the tournament's a good time. We have the marina and restaurant, and we shut it down for the tournament, and it's a full family affair. I mean, it's jamming. We have bands. We've got a couple of different bands performing this year. It's going to be a real good time. We're looking forward to it.
What kind of bands? I love bands.
Well, we got
what kind of bands? I like live music. Have you ever seen me dance?
I have not.
Man, I can spank some planks now.
We've got a couple of good names coming, so it'll be a lot of fun.
Cool. Now, if anybody wants to find out about your tournament, where can they look it up?
Just Google the Billfish Pechanga. Our website's billfishpechanga.com. We're also on Facebook and Instagram. It's just Uncle Google's your friend.
Uncle Google. And spell Pechanga for everybody that doesn't know.
Pachanga. Pachanga.
Pechanga. I'm gonna have Peter Chabanzai put it in for all of us.
Awesome.
Peter, do a job, do something. I'm always all about it. So on that note, Gabe, is there anything that you think we missed that we should add?
Shoot, I think that's about it. We're just an all release format. Some of the highlights of the tournament, like we talked about, we've got a 100-mile fence on it. So we're trying to appeal to everybody. And then a bunch of our beneficiaries, the Billfish Foundation and the Heart Research Institute. And we'd love to get some new faces to come join us. And we're looking forward to it.
Sounds good. All right, everybody. Well, Gabe, you hold on right there. I want to say thank you to everybody that's joining us. I know there's a bunch of people here watching. If you have any other questions, make sure you check Gabe out and check out the tournament. And I'm assuming you're going to be posting a bunch of pictures and stuff like that from the tournament for everybody to check out.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, Gabe, I want to say thank you so much for joining us. And also, I want to have you on after the fact so you can tell us about your winners and how the tournament turned out.
Sure. Appreciate the time. Thanks so much for having us.
Man, no worries. And everybody, thank you very much for joining us. And we will check you guys out later. Peace out, y'all.